Okay. All right. Xiaomi's iPhone. We've got a thanks tab for doing this. Do you think it is working against me to have two businesses within the same website and Instagram profile? I'm a new skin coach, health coach with a focus on skin, uh, and also a very small skincare line, which came first. So is it that you sell both a product and a service, and you're wondering if you should separate those?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
And they're both under the same business name of Forest and Fern.
it's easy. It's great. Keep them together.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I had some other additional like follow-up questions that
Sure,
came in
sure.
later, but I'll just
Now let's scroll down and see what you got. Okay. So my business name is Forest and Fern. Forest and Fern. Wellness. I think it's fine. It's great. Forest and Fern, easy to remember. It's got alliteration, which is nice. Great. They said I've been struggling with identifying, explaining who I serve. This is what I came up with so far. I help women who woke up one day and didn't recognize themselves anymore. I use skin health as a window to internal imbalance to guide them back to vitality, breaking the tired and wired cycle through nourishment of mind, body, and spirit. Instagram profile says empowered aging, skin coaching, artisan skincare, skin health is a window to the internal. I guide women on how to nourish to flourish. This all feels super vague to me. I would love to hear the parts that you think are worth keeping, if any. Yeah, okay. So, women who woke up one day didn't recognize themselves anymore. That is could mean a lot of things. Like, "Oh, I woke up one day with a taste in punk rock music, and I don't know where that came from. Who am I? You um, so I think what you mean is they looked in the mirror and it's like, I look old. Is that it?
I look old and I don't recognize like that spark of passion for who they are and that they used to have is gone. So it's emotional and physical, and I'm having a hard time finding a concise thing that communicates that because it's skin coaching, so it's aesthetic and visual, but it comes from within, from the perspective of actual physiological health, but as well as mental, emotional, and spiritual health.
Okay.
And I work with all of those things at the
Right.
same time.
I got it. So I just think a bit more context is helpful because again, women who woke up and didn't recognize themselves, I don't know what that means, but if it's women who woke up one day and looked in the bathroom mirror and didn't recognize themselves, that just immediately, I'm like, oh, we're talking about something visual here. And it's very helpful sometimes to say what they would say. Like, I mean, and just start crass and maybe some finish crass too, if that's how people are talking to themselves. Like, you know, I help women who woke up one day and they looked in the bathroom mirror and said to themselves, "You look like shit," or like, "Oh God, you look awful," or "My God, you look tired," or um, something like this. Like, just what did they say honestly, candidly in that moment?
What happened to me?
Okay, great, right, right. What happened to me? Oh my God, how did I get old? How did I get like this? How did I? So, and you can articulate that a bit more, but that's a good headline. They looked in the mirror and said, "What happened to me?" And you might share your own story. Maybe you went through, or what you've heard from friends. There's a common experience for women where a certain age, and you look in the mirror and you see, the the tiredness or the it's like, oh, I don't want to, go like this. I don't want my life to be this. Like, yeah, what happened to this spark? What happened to this? I'm just exhausted right now. I'm so depleted and right. So then how do we get there? And it's also important to get really clear what they're craving. What's island B? Because sometimes they we make the mistake of trying to push what we want for them on them. Yeah, like, well, what you should really want is to reclaim this inner spark, and maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's like, I just don't want to look so old. I don't want my skin to look like this. So it's okay to start there. That's not an unethical thing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's whatever it is they're craving most. I would speak to that directly. It's like, okay, you're feeling this, you're wanting this. I get it. But then you go into the point of view, and you say the mistake women make is, oh, like, I don't like my skin. Well, there's solutions to that. It's called plastic surgery. It's called airbrushing. It's called lots of makeup. It's called da, 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 da. But there are consequences to those things, and there's other approaches, where we can age. How did you say? Oh, I like that phrase. I've seen it before. That empower. You can. There's empowered aging. We can age beautifully, which doesn't mean we don't look older, but there's a kind of radiance or glow that stays with us. But here's my take on what creates that, and that does not come from all the surface applications. It comes from nourishing, our bodies, comes from our emotional well-being, it comes from spiritual practice, whatever you think it is. And so then that's a filtering thing too, hey, because then you can say to women, look, if you're just interested in, I don't know, staying eternally youthful in this mainstream way, then uh, who's not muted here? Oh, sorry. Okay.
Sorry, my husband got a call and he was walking away as he was talking.
So yeah, if you're interested in this kind of surface stuff, that's not me. If you just want a band-aid you can slap on this, and it's, go check out a plastic surgeon, but like, here's the consequences of those things. Here, this is maybe useful. I'm doing next month a series of workshops around point of view marketing, but a little teaser for you. This is new. You're one of the first groups I'm sharing this with. Maybe the third time or fourth time I'm sharing it at all. But one of the things I speak about a lot with point of view marketing is this. Fundamentally, we're not making the case for them to hire us in any of our marketing at all, really, truly, genuinely. What we are making the case for is a certain approach. So what we're saying basically is, look, whether or not you work with me, here's the approach I recommend. Right? So, you looked in the mirror, you had this little bit of a reality check. And that's understandable. That's a human moment. And you're craving this. I get it. Here's my take on it. Whether or not you hire me, buy any of my products, get my coaching, this is how I recommend looking at it. And we're making a case for us. We don't, instead of trying to sell the course, we sell the concept. Yeah. Instead of trying to sell the program, we're selling the perspective behind it. That's what we're making the case for. If there's going to be persuasion that shows up, it's in the point of view. It's not in the product. But within the case, there are 3 cases we're trying to make. And I recommend everyone just try this right now, to write these down. In fact, if you take a blank piece of paper, put 3 columns on it. And on the top left, that's the word diagnosis. Then I love that Amy just checked her hands. Which one left? Right, okay. Middle is prognosis. And the top right is prescription. So diagnosis, prognosis, prescription. And there's a question each for these. So again, we're thinking about who we want to work with, the problems they have. Yeah, the symptoms they're coming with. That's the overarching thing for all 3 of these. But the diagnosis answers the question, what's happening? Which is right there in what Sharmi noticed. They say, what happened to me? That's what it sounds like. Why do I have this symptom? What's happening? It's so baffling because yesterday or a month ago or a year ago, it wasn't there. And now the problem is there, and people often don't know why it's there. They've got no context for it. It's being in pain is hard enough. Not knowing why you're in pain, not knowing, like, your car makes a weird noise. And that's not the problem. The problem is you don't know why. So you don't know what to do about it. Okay, so that's the first question. The second question for prognosis is what's coming. And that question at the simplistic level is this: if they don't deal with it, what's coming? What's going to happen if they don't um, face this? Yeah. I mean, I think we've all had the experience of seeing an older man and woman and thinking, dear God, do not let me end up like that. For the love of God, please, Lord, don't let me look like that, act like that, be like that, dress like that, whatever, when I'm that age. Um, so, what's the prognosis? Where does this naturally go, inevitably? And the important thing, by the way, the important thing with the diagnosis is to be accurate with the diagnosis. We're aiming for accuracy. With the prognosis, we're aiming for being realistic. So this, we're not trying to say, oh my God, buy my course or be a wretched failure forever. It's not that. We're just saying whether or not you work with me, here's my take. Like if somebody comes to me and says, Tad, I just think you're a little anal on the niching thing. I just think you're a little uptight about that. I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. And they're just not gonna niche. I'm just gonna be everything for everybody. I can give a prognosis for that. I can tell them roughly where that's gonna go. Yeah. I could probably come up with a timeline that might not be too inaccurate. So most of us in our own work do. Yeah, meditation, whatever. I'm just going to keep on partying. Okay. As we set our stopwatch for 2 years from now. So there is a prognosis that we can give. And as we get more skilled in what we do, the prognosis get more realistic and accurate. And then there's a prescription. The prescription is, here's what's needed. Yeah. And again, that's whether or not you work with me, here's what's needed in this situation. And so we hear Sharmi talking a bit about this, with what's needed to bring that radiance back, or whatever it is they're craving. So that's some of the homework I'd give, Sharmi, is to answer those 3 questions. And for all of you, dig into that. Man, there's so much rich material in those 3 questions. And then come to my workshop in April. I'll get the dates up soon, but I'll be going into this more, and I've got a day-long lab, April 15th, I think. Info's coming very soon. But it's very helpful to get the point of view articulated, because once we've named, okay, you're suffering from this, and you're craving this. Even if you think, God, that's so shallow, it's okay. It's just that's where they're at. But then you say, okay, you want this? This is my opinion about why you're having the problem in the first place, what's going to happen if you don't deal with it, and what's needed to get you there. And then it's sort of, if you are down with those things, if I've made the case well enough on those and you want more, here's where it is. And that's about as aggressive as the pitch gets. Does this resonate? You want more? Here's where it is. It's just like that.